Please welcome Robert Zemeckis, Charlotte LeBon, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Ben Schwartz, and James Badge-Dale.
Hello.
And the Pope is in Philadelphia. Does anybody want to start the ball rolling? Or I'll just start with a basic question for Bob. When did you start dreaming up this movie?
About 10 years ago, I came across a little children's book called The Man Who Walked Between the Towers, and just kind of was intrigued by this little 8-page book. And then when Philippe actually did the walk, I wasn't aware of it. I was, for some reason, not listening to the news or something. But then I started to research, what it was that he did, and I couldn't believe the story. It was amazing. I thought it had all the elements to make a compelling movie.
And a question for Joseph Gordon-Levitt. How did you? Yeah, that's right. How did you approach this character? I would imagine you spent a lot of time with Philippe Petit.
Yeah, Philippe actually insisted that he be the first one to teach me to walk on the wire. And he doesn't do anything halfway, this guy. So he orchestrated this really elaborate workshop. It was just me and him all day long for 8 days straight. And he said, by the end of these 8 days, you'll walk on the wire by yourself. And I thought that sounded ambitious. But he's such a positive thinker. He believed that I would, and because he believed that I would, I started to believe that I would. And when you believe that you can do something, that's when you can do it. And he was right. By the end of those 8 days, I did walk on a wire by myself, and then continue to practice as we shot. And I love it. It's actually really fun, if painful. Way to, what do you call it? An occupation, art form, wire walking. It's fun.
Well, what would you call it? An occupation or an art form? That's a discussion that's actually...
That is,
started.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a real answer to that. I think you could argue any of those categories, but in my experience, if you focus too much on labeling things, you probably aren't paying attention to what's really good about it.
I'd like to ask the rest of the cast present to just talk about their experience working on this movie, but that is quite an echo. And what it was like to get into the world of the preparation for this incredible feat, and also a recreation of those days of the 70s in New York.
Oh, sure. I'd love to start. I'd also like to say that right behind us, there's like a 50-foot drop, which is hilarious for this type of movie where we're on top of towers all the time, and this is the most petrified I've been in my entire life. There's a series of things that were inspiring. First of all, Robert Zemeckis is a hero of mine, so anything he ever wants me to do, I'll do. Please don't do anything with that. No, but the story, I'm from New York, and so the story, it just connected with me so much. The script was incredible, and then to be able to have any role at all to tell this story seems inspiring. It's truly about a person who does something impossible, so it makes you believe that things that may not be possible are actually, you can achieve them. So it was just special to be a part of almost telling like a fairy tale that happened in real life. And James Badge-Dale is going to say something even more incredible than I said.
Why are you going to put the pressure on me like that?
And he's going to do it in iambic pentameter.
I'm not going to say anything that you just didn't say. No, literally, I am going to say the same thing that Ben just said. It was a work of passion. It was a work of love for all of us, and it was beautiful to come to work every day because Bob has this incredible creative energy, and Joe is one of the most consummate professional, kind, giving actors you could ever work with, and that creates this culture where we all showed up to work, and we would have a lot of fun, and Bob would film it.
No, it's my turn.
It's your turn.
Okay. Well, I mean, for me, it was quite overwhelming too because I'm just starting out. I'm working in France mainly, and it was my second big American production. So that was quite overwhelming to work with this legend. I'm sorry that it's true, and you, Joseph, and Ben Schwartz and James Bechdel, of course. I was crying every day because I was going to work with you, but it was nice. I had to learn the guitar. That was really difficult in the movie. I hope you don't see it too much. I had to learn to sing too. That was difficult for me as well. But it was just fun to go to work every day, and we were really like a little family. I know people in movies, they always say that, but that was actually true. So
we did a thing on weekends sometimes. We didn't actually tell you too much about this, Bob, where the cast would gather together and we would watch Robert Zemeckis movies.
Every single weekend. Yeah. We'd all order food together. Did you know about this, Bob, or no?
No, directors are always the last to know anything that's going on the movie.
But every single weekend, we'd get together as a bonding experience. We enjoyed spending time with each other and then watching his movies and then looking at each other being like, we get to be a part of this. Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
Back to the Future. We watched Castaway.
Yeah.
What Lies Beneath.
Yeah.
We watched Romancing the Stone. We watched Death Becomes Her.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. It was fantastic.
A long production.
Yeah. We were
Well, actually, I think everyone in the production was sort of saying, like, don't worry if you can't really walk on the wire. You know, it's all going to be movie magic anyway. But I really wanted to learn to do it, and Philippe really wanted me to learn to do it, and did it. But I should also say, while there are quite a few shots of me in the movie, there's also quite a few shots of Jade Martin, who is my wire walking double, and who's an excellent wire walker as well. What was the other question? Sorry.
Have you now entered the leading man phase of your career?
Oh, well, isn't it obvious? Oh, thank you. That's flattering of you to say. I don't really know how to answer, though. Ben Schwartz, have I entered the leading man phase of
Man, he has been in that phase for years. How dare you? No, but to Joe's credit, in this movie, it's not only that he learned how to walk on a wire, and he had a safety harness, which he never used, to what I said, but he spoke French fluently and fooled people who are from Paris and from France with a perfect accent. He truly, I mean, when we were watching him, we would always watch with awe because it's this quality that you can't. He's just born with it, man. He's a movie star. It's kind of incredible to watch.
Thank you. I don't know if I fooled French people. I fooled Americans, though.
That's true. Fooled me.
One thing that I liked was the movie at the end focused on the impact of the walk as as a piece of art. And I was wondering if you feel that a controversial piece of art like this that was in defiance of the law and very risky can remain effective as a subversive piece of art if, like, the cop is patting you on the back at the end, and kind of your thoughts about this as a piece of art, the walk itself.
Is that
it's a question for
That's
Robert
for all of you. You've all thought about this, I'm
question
sure.
for everybody. But
Well, I do, and I think the line that's in the movie sort of sums up how I feel about it. Is that all artists are anarchists in some way, some more extreme than others, but it's something that I think artists are supposed to do. They're supposed to present a different angle on everything, and I certainly think it is, and it's it's as much of an art form as poetry, in my opinion.
Well, you mentioned, I'm interested in the part of your question where you said, is it still subversive if the cop is patting you on the back at the end? And my answer to that would be yes, that in fact, Ideally, what an artist can do is build a bridge and bring someone over and show them something and have them appreciate something they might not have appreciated before, as opposed to going so far as to just keep the sides split, in which case you're sort of just preaching to the choir. So for me, that's the greatest success in subversive art, is when someone who might not have appreciated it at first is won over.
Can you tell us how the wire walking scenes were filmed? I mean, how high were you when you actually filmed the wire walking between the two towers?
Shall I answer? Well, we were on a soundstage. They built a beautiful set of the top 2 stories of the tower, and then surrounded that with green, and then hung the wire off the top of the set and out into, a green abyss that was anchored on a pole. And that wire was about 12 feet in the air. And if when I walked out, I had to walk backwards to get back.
Bob, do you want to talk about the technical?
Yeah, well, obviously the technique that was used the most was, digital painting. But when I was making this movie, I think I ended up using every special effect technique that I've ever used in my career, except for probably cartoon animation. And, we mixed it up. We had all, like any great magician or illusionist would do. I mean, we didn't want to let you see the effects, so we just kept using different technique, but the majority was digital.
I'm just wondering, have any of you been to the top of the World Trade when it was up here, and have you been to the new observatory or planned a little pilgrimage for this film?
I've been a couple of times to the original observation deck on the Twin Towers, and I've been to the memorial, but I haven't been to the top of the new Freedom Tower yet.
I actually went in the summer of 2001 to the top of the World Trade Center towers, and I just moved to New York at that point because I went to Columbia starting in the fall of 2000, and so it was my first summer living in New York after my freshman year of school, and it was touristy, but I wanted to go do it, and I remember it pretty distinctly. It felt more like being in the sky than it did feel like being in a tall building.
I had passed by it, but I'm from New York, so I passed by. It's just a piece of the landscape. It's something that's, when you think of New York, that's what it was for me. But I went to the Freedom Tower this trip, went inside, and also I stood, I'm assuming the pools are approximately where the building stood. Is that true?
Yeah.
I stood at the edge of one of the pools and looked to see how far away that walk would have been, and it was just incredible. It is so far, and it seems so insane. But I stood there a couple days ago and just tried to feel the distance between it. It's pretty incredible.
I actually did that walk at the memorial. I stood at, because those two pools are the footprint of the old towers. I stood at the north corner of the south tower and walked from there to the south corner of the north tower just to see what it was like. It's a long walk.
It's so long. Yeah. Great question.
So,
just real quick, I grew up on 20th between 9th and 10th, and just like Ben, those towers were part of the fabric of my childhood, and it's the fabric of New York City. And for all of us, whether we were there or we were just looking at them from afar, it was part of who we are as a city. And I couldn't bring myself to go to the memorial until after we did this film. And this year I went, and I just can't tell you how proud I am to be a part of this film and what I believe this film means to New York and to the memory of those two towers.
I'm terrified of heights, and I kept wanting to leave. And I didn't leave because of the craftsmanship that a studio film can bring to. It's such a tribute to what the best of Hollywood craftsmanship is about. I wanted to ask Joseph, you came out of independent film and independent film budgets and independent makeshift, and here you are working with Robert in this at the height of sort of Hollywood magic, movie magic. And how have you made that transition, and what does it mean to you? And to Bob, what does independent filmmaking mean to you when you make this kind of epic film?
Well, to me, having worked on both, really low budget independent films and having worked on bigger budget studio films, the important thing is actually not the budget, and the important thing is the motivation of the filmmaker, I think, and everyone who's working for the filmmaker, because you can find indie movies that are just sort of being derivative and kind of trying to make a name for themselves or something. And you can also find studio movies with a real sincere heart. It's really more about the individual people than it is the budget or the corporate infrastructure, I think.
Mr. Zemeckis, this is a question for you. You've made a couple movies about plane crashes. You've made a movie with flying cars, and now The Walk. Have you given any thought to what attracts you about stories about the sky and our potential for falling from it?
No.
Is the challenge of depicting...
the irony, the irony about the plane crashes is that I'm a pilot. So I don't know, and it's not like something I ever want to have happen to me. So I'd rather do it on film than in another situation. Any falling, I'd rather do on film than in real life.
So you're facing your fear.
Could be. Could be. Working it all out.
Hi, my question is for Ben and James. Did you get to interact with your real-life counterparts the way Joseph did?
I did not.
No.
Did you? No. We got to interact with Philippe Petit, which was very nice and lovely, but I never got to meet my guy.
No, I didn't get to meet my guy either, but Philippe came up and I met Philippe for the first time, and he walks up on set and he looks at me in the eyes and he looks down and he looks up and he goes, you'll do.
Yeah, Philippe called me by my only my character name. He would only call me Albert the whole time. But yeah.
And as a follow-up for the cast, I'm just wondering if someone approached you in your real life with a dream like this, how would you react? What side would you take?
Is it this exact dream? Is it someone saying, I want to go between two... It would petrify me beyond belief. I would be so scared and anxious. I'd be like a giraffe learning how to walk for the first time if I was up on that thing. But the idea behind it, if Joe comes up to me and is so passionate about something and he wants it so bad and he explains all the reasons why, and it's within the realm of being legal, it would be hard not to be inspired by someone who is that passionate about something, and you want to collaborate. What about you, James?
Why are you looking at me?
I'm just excited to hear what you're going to say.
Absolutely go tell you to do whatever you wanted to do.
But not
if
join
you
in?
told me you were going to do the most dangerous, illegal thing in the world and this is something that you had to do, I would pat you on the back.
I got to head out, guys. Really good to see you.
This question is for Mr. Zemeckis. The marketplace is flooded with 3D movies now, and you're one of the first directors that actually used it as a storytelling device. I was wondering, what about The Walk attracted you to 3D? Are you more of a fan of native or conversion filmmaking, and have you ever thought of converting one of your older films into 3D?
Let's see. All right. First of all, to answer the first question, when I came upon this, this event that was thinking about maybe could be a movie, it just called out that it would be a 3D movie. And I've been searching, always searching for stories that organically lend themselves to being in 3D. I believe that 3D is a filmmaker's tool that is a decision that's made at the very beginning based on the story and the screenplay, just like a decision you would make to shoot a movie in color or black and white or widescreen or spherical. And in my opinion, it should be used to enhance the emotion in the story. For example, I never once thought that Flight should be in 3D. It just wasn't a 3D movie. There's nothing that 3D would enhance. And I think that answers your last question, which is no, I would never think of converting any of my movies to 3D because they were never designed that way. I think you have to make a 3D movie constantly. It changes your editing pace, the way your camera moves, the lenses that you use. It's all got to be thought through from the beginning. And so that's why I think it comes from the story. And I think your one question was, am I a fan of native 3D or conversion? And I think the technology, if you're going to do a 3D movie, conversion is the only way to go, unless you're shooting water. And that's the one thing that doesn't convert very well. So you kind of have to shoot those elements in native 3D.
I'd like to ask Robert how the Oscar-winning Man on Wire might have influenced anything he did in this amazing film. And two, an easy one, how Joseph nailed the French accent. Amazing, also.
Well, from where I'm sitting, it's because Joe is such a magnificent actor, and he speaks fluent French. So that he nailed it. But he can answer. He can tell you what you want. He really worked really hard to make sure that his accent was a perfect Parisian accent. He worked really hard on that. The Man on Wire, I started developing this and bought Philippe's story almost 10 years ago, way before Man on Wire was even made. It's a great documentary, and it lets you in to see what all the real characters were thinking and how they did this. But the thing that I always wanted to do with Philippe's story is present the walk itself. And of course, that couldn't be done in the documentary because there's no moving picture film of the walk ever recorded.
Yeah, the French accent.
Yeah.
French accent is great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say.
His French accent is perfect. He was really, really.
Yes, we had all these French actors in the movie, and
we were the police. Yeah.
And they were the police because I couldn't tell.
What's useful also is that French people are really honest, typically. So if they wouldn't sugarcoat it, they would just tell me I was making a mistake, and
especially when it comes to their accent.
Yeah, you're right.
You talked briefly about some of the technical challenges of recreating 1974 New York. Is there something you're especially proud of that was really very difficult?
No, I mean, yes. I mean, I'm proud of everything. I think the visual effects team did a magnificent job, and we worked really hard and researched intensively what Manhattan and New York and the towers look like and where everything was, and to make sure everything was in its right place. And we really wanted to do that and knew it was important to do that right. I guess the thing that, I'm satisfied with what we did was to evoke the feeling of vertigo. We worked really hard to put the audience up on those towers and on the wire. Both my cameraman and my visual effects supervisor we really studied what would be needed to achieve that effect.
And as far as 1974 period, I think we should probably also mention Ben Schwartz's mustache.
Thank you guys so much.
And what about Badge's hair?
Oh, yeah. I don't know why it took so long to get to this part of the interview. I'd like to thank my dad. But there was a big, I remember when I got the role, Bob said, don't shave, don't cut your hair. So, okay. But that was really fun.
And on that note, I think
that's how you
close. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for
Thank
coming.
you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
If you want to get in touch with us, contact thewakeupcrewradio@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. For more information, visit thewakeupcrew.weebly.com.
If you want to get in touch with us, contact thewakeupcrewradio@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. For more information, visit thewakeupcrew.weebly.com. The Wake Up Crew is an alternative team-based talk show broadcast live on Spreaker Web Radio, ironically on Friday and Saturday nights, and also less ironically on Sunday mornings. So sit down, tune in, and be sure to follow us on Spreaker, the home of the Wake Up Crew. You want to get in touch with us, contact thewakeupcrewradio@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. For more information, visit thewakeupcrew.weebly.com. The Wake Up Crew is an alternative team-based talk show broadcast live on Spreaker Web Radio, ironically on Friday and Saturday nights, and also less ironically on Sunday morning. So sit down, tune in, and be sure to follow us on Spreaker, the home of the Wake Up Crew.
The Wake Up Crew is an alternative teen-based talk show broadcast live on Spreaker Web Radio on Friday and Saturday nights and Sunday mornings. So sit down, tune in, and be sure to follow us on Spreaker, the home of the Wake Up Crew.